Welcome back now, everybody, for the PCDC Managers League. We are here for round 3 of the championship, and John Nielsen lines up on the front row with Ayrton Senna alongside. And we get off to a start, and it looks like John Nielsen has a good start with Emerson Fittipaldi sneaking up into second place, it looks like. Yes, he does, so he gets past Ayrton Senna on the start, and I think John Nielsen with a really good start here as he's already creating a gap. Jan Lammers up into 4th. Then comes Alain Prost in the McLaren, so Alain Prost with a very good qualifying in the end in that McLaren. Then comes Mauricio Gugelmin, then comes Nelson Piquet. Piquet doing a good job as well in that Benetton. Then comes Michael Andretti. Behind him will be Roberto Moreno in the second Lotus. Then we have Bobby Rahal in the first BMW with Martin Brundle on the cusp of that top 10. As they head through the tunnel and then down into the Nouvelle chicane. So far so good, but someone goes off the track there, Ross Cheever, and he rejoins very awkwardly. He rejoins very awkwardly and he actually squeezes a bunch of the cars there. I think that was the Riccardo Patrese in the not the Tyrrell, it's the Ligier, I'm sorry, as I had to recollect my thoughts. But yeah, Ross Cheever very aggressive there, rejoining, and surely MDK will be swinging his fists in the pit lane against Justin Dijkstra, fellow countryman of course, but we'll have to see how that pans out. But that does mean that there's been a bit of separation now between the top 12 and then the cars that come behind because of that. And John Nielsen in that Zach speed, we've seen them be very quick already in the first 2 rounds, and John Nielsen currently 3rd in the championship, the Drivers' Championship that is, and he's equal points with his teammate Jan Lammers, as we do see now Mauricio Gugelmin, and this is not a good start to the race for that second Ferrari of Gugelmin, as now cars will start streaming by, and that's only on lap 2 now, and he's trying to take it very easy and get that Ferrari back to the pits, but obviously very narrow here on the streets of Monte Carlo. And here we see the Tyrrell getting through of Alonso Jr. He does get it back to the pits, but again, this narrow check. Oh, he doesn't. He stops at the pit entrance, so that's already a Ferrari out. Wow, I honestly thought he was gonna get it back to the pits, but yeah, he manages to get to the pit entrance. You could see the yellow lines there indicating the pit entrance, but yeah, no luck for the second Ferrari there. So that's very much a shame. Does mean now Emerson Fittipaldi still in second place, Ayrton Senna in 3rd, Jan Lammers surprisingly in 4th, so not doing as good as Nielsen there, his teammate. And they have traded wins already, Jan Lammers and John Nielsen, so we'll have to see how everything goes now. But obviously in the constructors we know that Ferrari is actually on the top right now because they managed to get a double finish last time around on a double podium as well, 3rd and 2nd. That managed or Mashihila managed to gather quite a bit of points there. He got 14 points last round compared to only the 10 for Zach Speed. And we see now here Alain Prost in 5th, managing that McLaren very well. Nelson Piquet not too far behind. We do now have Ayrton Senna in third. So Senna again off to a pretty poor start in that Lotus. We've seen them struggle with reliability for most of last year, and 2 DNFs for Senna in that first race, and also his teammate also has a double DNF, so Lotus not managing to get a finish yet this season. Now we look at one of the new teams, of course, this year, BMW, have been quietly performing. They're in 4th place right now, so I guess we could call that best of the rest, behind Ferrari, Zaxbyte, and McLaren. And yeah, it looks like BMW is really quite competitive, although Rahal is now in 9th, and his teammate, looking for him, see if we can Theo Fabi, he's in 18th, so yeah, Fabi struggling a bit more to get to grips with that BMW, but yeah, overall they've done a good job bagging those important points. And let's see if they can do the same here, as we're on lap 5 and we're nearly on the front wing of John Nielsen as he maneuvers his way through Lowe's corner and then Portier, and then down into the tunnel, of course. We also see Michael Andretti in 7th again in the Tyrrell. Tyrrell also been quietly performing, having a bit of reliability issues here and there, as there was a double DNF for shouldn't call it double DNF. It's I think Michael Andretti had a double. Well, he finished twice. That's what I'm trying to say. And Alan Sir Jr. actually didn't manage to finish a race yet, as Pierluigi Martini is fighting with Mika Hakkinen as they head through the Nouvelle Chicane. Nothing much happening there. Hakkinen not scoring any points last time around, but did manage to score 5 or so in that first round. And now Nelson Piquet, he is hungry for some points, as he well, in that last race, on one of the last laps, he actually got an issue. I think it was on, I don't quite remember, I think it may have been a loose wheel or an electrical issue, I'm not sure. And he managed to drag that Benetton across the line and score an important 1 point. And that means Benetton is, for the moment, not last, but obviously things could quickly change if PK manages to hold on to this position. And maybe JJ Leto, actually, we can go back to him now. So Jirki Jarveleto, also known as JJ Leto, to make his name a bit easier, is making his debut here for Benetton, the 23-year-old Finn. And he's had reasonable success in the junior categories, and Benetton thought it was a good chance for them to give him a shot here at Monaco. It is a bit of a curious track to give a rookie their first shot at, because obviously it's not always representative of their through pace, and I'm sure Leto will be focusing very much on just getting the car cleanly through the session. And so far doing a good job, obviously down in 19th, definitely not matching his teammate PK right now, but he could be something to watch for the future, and I'm sure if he gets a bit more time in the car, he'll be able to manage to do a bit better. But you know, everything can happen in F1, so we will see if Leto manages to put some good races in. And obviously he's replacing Johnny Herbert, and seems a bit of a toss-up right now between Leto and Herbert. And I think Leto will have to make the most of his races that he gets. I'm not sure if he will be able to do another one after this, but it is his moment to prove himself, as Nielsen actually still in first place, but Emerson Fittipaldi seems to be closing up, as Martini is still ahead of Hakkinen, but quite a ways off the back of JJ Leto, who's about 7 seconds ahead, or 6 even. And now on board with Ayrton Senna, who is still managing that third place. He has the Jan Lammers in that Zach speed behind him, and then a bit further up is Alain Prost. Two very similar looking cars, of course, the Zach speed and the McLaren, because of their paint scheme. As opposed to the very striking Lotus livery that is stands out quite a bit. Meanwhile, John Nielsen still just managing, keeping Emerson Fittipaldi to about 1.5 seconds behind of him, so not necessarily creating a big gap or any sort of safety, but managing just enough to keep Fittipaldi behind and having have him not be a threat, as Yannick Dalmas seems to be struggling. He's going very slowly here as Theo Fabi catches up to the back of him. Fabi will now also pass him, maybe. He'll try to, but doesn't actually manage as they go into Raskas, and Dalmas comes in with a brake issue. Let's see if we can follow him through in the pits now. Get a different set of tires on. 5.2 seconds there for the Frenchman, and yeah, that's going to be a tough recovery race for Dalmas, as he surely will have to make another pit stop for another set of tires. He won't be able to go nearly 70 laps on one set of tires, that is for sure. And John Nielsen still leading. Third is Ayrton Senna, but he does have not quite a train, but his competitors are not far behind, so let's hope he does not make a mistake and well, keeps up with that decent pace. And it must be said that partnership between Lotus and Ferrari was expected to bring good things, and as you can see, both Senna and Moreno in the points, so I mean, the package is working, but so far the reliability has been letting them down, so let's hope that improves soon. And we are now on board with what was last year the new kid on the block, and very much impressed throughout the ranks of F1, Ross Cheever in 12th. So Minardi doesn't seem to have the best package this year. Last year, very competitive with that essentially that Alfa Romeo as engine, as Alonso Jr. actually taps the wall there a little bit. I'm surprised he doesn't pick up any damage. And then we will take a look further back here as Mika Hakkinen just started another lap, and he is reporting over the radio that there is some sort of interference going on in the car. And yeah, as you can see, he's going very slowly, so I think Yannick Dalmas will actually even be able to get back up to the back of him and overtake him. And oh, and there's another issue there, and this is big, an issue for Jan Lammers, as he comes in with also some sort of technical issue. Not the best camera angle. Yeah, he comes in, let's see his pit stop, 5.7 seconds, but he will lose track position, which is oh so important here around Monaco. We know the Zach speed has plenty of pace, but I'm not sure in this track if he will be able to use it. And oof, that was a very close pit exit. Everything's so tight here at Monaco, and Let's actually stay with Jan Lammers for a while here and see if he manages to pass well, the minority of Ross Cheever, which should, in theory, be a lot slower. But if Cheever can position his car strategically, there should, in theory, not be a way to get past for Lammers here, because the acceleration zones are so short, and just the straightaways in general, there's not much maneuvering room. So unless anyone makes a mistake, they should be able to hold on to their positions. But you can see just Jan Lammers carrying so much more minimum speed compared to the minority in front of him. But yeah, I'm not sure if he'll actually be able to make a pass anywhere. As long as Ross Cheever focuses on getting his exits out of the corners, then should be completely fine here. And then the one big chance you have to say that he probably has is here on the start-finish straight in some of the slipstream. Can he pull alongside and try a move? No. Like I said, it will be very tough. And Jan Lammers has a very challenging race ahead then. So Ayrton Senna is now in third and Alain Prost on the cusp of a podium. Which I think Pedro Diaz would take at this point, would take very gladly a podium. So McLaren, although they've been scoring points and are in third, obviously we do know their ambition is always the challenge for those championships, and so far not having the best of luck with that. One DNF only for them, so three finishes, which is really good. But you do wonder if this slower start to the season than we're used to from McLaren will cost them in the end. Meanwhile, we do see Martin Brundle. He's up into 9th in the Williams, so on the edge of those points. And we know the Englishman has shown that he's very capable in the car, and well, it's good to see for one that the Williams seems to be more competitive here this year, as last year was a bit of a disaster for them. And meanwhile, John Nielsen still leading, but Fittipaldi getting ever closer. 1.15 seconds between them, and Brundle seems to have made a mistake because Alonso Jr. is right onto the back of him now. But again, with some minimal defending, you should be able to keep a car behind here on the streets of Monte Carlo, as Fittipaldi really turning up the pace now, and he is he's looking at John Nielsen in front of him. Jan Lammers still looking for that way past Ross Cheever, and Brundle trying to keep that Tyrrell behind from Alonso Jr. They will also head through Raskas. And Senna just created a little bit of space to Alain Prost behind him, as we're on board with him, as he heads into Mirabeau and then Lowe's corner down to Portier. And Lammers now showing his nose to Ross Cheever. He's getting a bit impatient, it seems. Let's hope he, if he does make a move, that it's very calculated. But we can now see Fittipaldi within a second of John Nielsen, so let's actually stay on board with the lead Ferrari, as his teammate Gugelmin unfortunately retiring very early on. So Fittipaldi looking to bring in the points for Ferrari here today, as he chases down John Nielsen, and he is slowly creeping up bit by bit. down the straightaway we go, still about a second, and we will come back to that fight. John Nielsen still in fourth, and I'm now coming back onto the back of Mika Hakkinen. So Hakkinen making an early pit stop with that technical issue, and Luigi Martini now up into 19th because of those issues of Dalmas and Hakkinen. But yeah, it must be said, Luigi Martini has been struggling quite a bit in that Minardi. His teammate Ross Cheever obviously much better. He's already 24 seconds ahead of his teammate. That is Ross Cheever. And Nielsen now closing in onto the back of Mika Hakkinen. As we go through the very fast, well, they call it piscine here, or swimming pool. So the swimming pool section of the track. And down to Raskas, but Senna now also putting some pretty fast laps, and actually a mistake there from Ross Cheever, and Lammers does get by, so let's say a very rare overtake you will see here, and a bit of an unforced error there from Ross Cheever. Obviously, it's good for Ross Cheever that is a little mistake. It probably was a tiny lockup or something happened there at the Nouvelle Chicane, because you do have a bit of runoff there with any other spot of the track, and it might end a lot differently. But that does mean that Jan Lammers now can push ahead. John Nielsen still just pushing on. Let's actually see at what some of the lap times are. So top 6 are all doing 24s, with Andretti just squeezing in there with a very high 24. And we're seeing a mix of 25s and 26s, so definitely see the pace is quite close here at Monaco. Yeah, John Nielsen consistently putting good pace in, but as you can see, Ayrton Senna in third there was actually out of 10th faster than John Nielsen last lap. So yeah, very close even in the top 3. But up and down the field there's some good battles going on. Emerson Fittipaldi still tries to close up to the back of that Zach speed as Jan Lammers puts in the fastest lap. He's in clear air now, and he's ready to put the hammer down. But the big question, of course, for Lammers being, can he make it through all that traffic? And I am inclined to say probably not. We'll have a very, very rough time getting through all that traffic. Jeff Lees now in 16th, has the 500cc motorcycling champion in front of him in Eddie Lawson. And Lawson has been doing good so far. In his first race, he was already a point scorer in 7th place. He picked up 2 points. Didn't manage to pick up any points, but he's definitely shown that he's capable of handling an F1 car. And well, his teammate, who's very much more experienced than Satoru Nakajima, has not managed to pick up any points yet, but is of course leading now in front of Lawson. But yeah, Lawson actually putting up very respectable times, and it was clear from the very start that he was able to adapt to F1, and yeah, we look forward to see what he can bring in the future. And he's not in the strongest package either with Euro Run, so maybe if he could find a spot with a slightly more competitive team, he could be very much surprised. But I think overall Euro Run have actually been quite a positive story. They have been came out of sports car racing, so they're still doing that, but they've done several series in racing, obviously some of the lower classes, and well, they've looked promising and they've looked competitive in most of those. And coming into this season, they took one of the spots here on the grid and have really invested into this project together with Jägermeister, as you can see by their orange car, of course, as I'll take a look at them here. But yeah, you can see that very striking orange livery, which they've used for plenty of their race cars. Very recognizable, but you can see Jägermeister's just plastered all over it, the whole brand, and they have been really investing in this project to get Euro Brun into F1 and be competitive. And actually, you know, they're in that midfield fight, and at the moment they're in 8th place in the standings, which is very respectable for a new entry. And definitely considering they don't have any factory backing like you know, like a BMW would have, for instance. They're an independent team, so yeah, doing very decently. Now see John Nielsen. He's still making his way up to the back of Mika Hakkinen. Obviously, you have to take into account that Hakkinen has some... his tires are a bit fresher because he had to come in for that early pit stop, but maybe also the Finn just putting in really good laps. Let's actually check what his last laps were. Yeah, so Hakkinen is actually doing very similar times to John Nielsen right now, so yeah. Young Finn doing very well, very impressive. Back to the normal screen here, there we go. And we're on lap 20 now, so about a quarter done of the race, a bit more than that. And Martini, again, just struggling. Seemed like he's just looking to bring that Minardi to the end of the race and not cause any unnecessary damage to it, as Alonso Jr. has a bit of a lockup there. He's being put under pressure by Jan Lammers behind. Lammers obviously keen to make up those positions, all those positions that he lost, but be very tricky business. And oh, now there's another issue here. There's another issue. Michael Andretti on lap 20 as he comes through the swimming pool chicane. He's also reported an issue and he will probably come into the pits. Yes, he does. So let's follow him in here. And the Tyrrell crew on standby as they take in Michael Andretti. Let's see. They get that issue solved. Yes, they do, but it's a pretty long pit stop, 6.1 seconds. But he will come out. Let's take a look here. Ooh, very close on that pit exit. It always scares me a bit. But Andretti now comes out behind Ross Cheever. The only positive you might be able to take from that is that Andretti now has fresh tires, so he should be able to put in some good lap times. But obviously dropping outside of the points now, which has allowed Martin Brundle in the Williams to now slip inside that top 8. Which obviously this year the point scoring has changed, which now rewards the top 8 with points at the end of the race. And I'm sure Sebastian Erdmann and all of Williams will be delighted if they can get a car in the points again. So far, 1 point. 1 point this season, and He scored it in the very first race. John Nielsen now getting closer to Hakkinen. Nearly onto the back of him, and we'll see if Hakkinen makes it a bit easier on him to make that pass, but he has to really pay attention here, John Nielsen, because one wrong move or he picks the wrong direction to get past Mika Hakkinen, and he might see Emerson Fittipaldi steaming by. Toru Nakajima in that Euro Brunt, doing very well, heading through Lowe's corner with Riccardo Patrese behind him in the Ligier. And they head through the tunnel, and Ayrton Senna now still in third place, and actually he seems to be inching closer to John Nielsen and Emerson Fittipaldi in front of him. So Senna not out of this fight. He's pushing, and he's actually gaining, it seems. So let's check the last laps. So last lap, so yeah, actually a 25 for John Nielsen. Maybe he is in that wake of the Ligier in front of him, as he is looking to get by. And let's actually stay on board here to see if Nielsen can make it by Hakkinen. But it seems the Ligier driver isn't too keen to move over, which is understandable since he's putting in respectable lap times very similar to John Nielsen. I think it's a case as well of John Nielsen probably gonna have to take a look at getting a good exit out of the last corner here coming up, and then down the straightaway he might be able to get Hakkinen to concede. No, not yet. So yeah, and then about 2/10 a lap faster than Nielsen. I think at this point Nielsen is probably getting held up. JJ Leto now in 18th, and he's trying to get up to the back of that BMW in front of him. That is Teo Fabi. And maybe finding his groove a little bit more. And we do expect a single pit stop here for the teams. The tire wear definitely isn't too bad, and obviously, as we know, in Monaco, track position is king. As Andretti shows his nose there to Ross Cheever heading into the Nouvelle chicane. But so far, no luck for him. And Emo now within 8/10 of that Zach speed in front of him, and there you can see coming through the corners you have Ayrton Senna, Prost, and Piquet respectively. So the top five within 5 or so seconds from each other, as Pierluigi Martini is under pressure, and we have another issue here as Martin Brundle is heading down past the casino. and into Mirabeau and Lowe's corner, but he is suffering with some sort of issue, and this means Alonso Jr. behind him and Jan Lammers will get past. But a bit of a shame there for the Williams, as it was running really well, and well, Brundle doing a really good job, but fortunately this means it will be an extra pit stop here for Williams. Let's hope he can get back to the pits as well, of course. And I want to say that was probably the best chance of scoring points that Williams had this race. As we now... Ooh, a big mistake there as well from Brundle. I don't know if he got hit there, but it's like he just had like a really big lockup as he... Oh, he's actually pulling off to the side of the track, so Martin Brundle won't even make it till the end of the race. He has to pull over that car, and it's in a very dangerous spot there. Let's hope they get that cleared up very quickly. Yes, they do. They get that car out of the way very quickly, which is good to see, but unfortunately, the Englishman, there will be no points up for grabs today, and that is the second retirement so far. Yep, Pierluigi Martini still holding off that McLaren of Yannick Dalmas, and likewise, I think we're seeing two of the struggling drivers here this season. It's must be said, Dalmas has already scored points, but it wasn't really on pure pace, you could say. It was more because of retirements of other cars, but yeah, as you can see, he is definitely underperforming compared to his teammate Alain Prost. Of course, you wouldn't expect anyone to match Prost in the same machinery, but yeah, Dalmas should should have to step up his game, of course, as McLaren would want does probably want a very reliable second driver to just scrape in some points here and there, and well, probably pick up the pieces of where Alain Prost leaves them. So if Alain Prost isn't in a position to score points or whatever, then they might want Dalmas to pick those up. But yeah, so far, both Dalmas and Pierluigi Martini here, not too convincing. As we're on board now with John Nielsen still stuck behind that Ligier in front of him. And obviously there's no requirement for necessarily for Hakkinen to move, so now see Dalmas again, seemingly trying to get past that Minardi in front of him. And Nielsen not able to close up to that Ligier, not close enough anyway. As Lawson now still holding off Jeff Lees in the Williams behind him. Yeah, Lawson looking really comfortable, and you can actually see there that Theo Fabi and JJ Leto are now closing up as well to the back of Eddie Lawson, so he'll start forming a little bit of a train. And Alain Prost now getting ever closer to Ayrton Senna, and likewise Senna is getting closer to the top two there of Nielsen and Fittipaldi, so I do expect that the pit stops might be starting in a couple of laps here, and the undercut might be, well, it might be very, very good to get an undercut, but it also might be very detrimental depending in which traffic you come out. And now an issue for Ross Cheever as Michael Andretti gets past, and Minardi now struggling for pace, trying to get back to the pits as he goes through the swimming pool chicane. Let's hope Cheever can make it back to the pits, and he is babying that car through the last set of corners, and yes, he will pull off there and try to get that pit stop done. Again, we'll see here where Cheever comes out after that pit stop. Let's see if they do it in a decent speed. 6.1 seconds, not too great for Minardi. But he does come out there and oh! Just as we were seeing Eddie Lawson there out of the race, I think he made a mistake and went into the barrier. As I said that he was looking very comfortable in the car, Lawson with a mistake and just went into the wall, I think just before Raskas there. Just missed his corner and went straight into the barrier, it seemed like. That's a shame. As Nielsen still leading, but everyone getting closer now. That top 5 is very tight, and the pit stops will have a big say in the result of this race, I believe. Yeah, so John Nielsen not finding any way past Hakkinen, and again, Hakkinen just putting very, very good pace in as he's closing up to the back of Pierluigi Martini and Dalmas. But you do wonder if maybe some of these top runners start thinking about pitting now, getting an early pit done and not ending up behind these back markers. But the question being, of course, will they end up getting a free space on the track? We'll have to look at that. It's a very short pit here, so it doesn't take too long, but you do want to make sure you are clear from traffic behind, because you don't want to get stuck behind a car that's on older tires. That's a great way to lose a heap of time. 7th place now for the BMW of Bobby Rahal. He's just managing the race really well. He's quite close to Roberto Moreno in front, only 1.2 seconds between them. And Rahal, actually, he now gets a pit call as he comes across the line. So, curiously, BMW calling the first shots here. So, Rahal probably looking to undercut Moreno in front of him. Which obviously, if it works out, would be delightful, but it's gonna be tough because I assume Rahal might end up in some traffic when he has made his pit stop, so we'll see how that plays out for him. And, not the best camera angle there, but yeah, we now see John Nielsen coming up to the back of Hakkinen, and he has Hakkinen has Dalmas and Martini in front of him, so bit of a train forming here between the front runners and the back markers. But obviously, again, like we said, there's no requirement for them to move, so that will just allow the top 5 here to really close up. And the interesting thing now being Nelson Piquet and Benetton might be taking a look at taking advantage of this this little train that's forming here with the back marker. So Piquet has been called in, and it very much looks like Benetton is betting on that undercut. They want to clear all the traffic. And, well, it's not a bad shout, that's for sure. Oh, Bobby Rahal! As we're on board here with Rahal, there's a catastrophic failure on his car. He comes out of the pits just having changed his tires, and his transmission just seems to give up. There was no... just an instant failure there, it seemed. And wow, that's quite dramatic there for Bobby Rahal, who will be the third retirement. But I do want to keep an eye on Nelson Piquet here as he comes into the pits. I just want to see whereabouts he will come out on track. As he comes in, let's see how fast this pit stop is. It is 5 seconds. Ooh, very fast for Benetton. And let's see now where he comes out. So Roberto Moreno is there. So yeah, Nelson Piquet will clear the traffic behind him, and he now has a very, very clear track in front of him. So he will have to make the most of those fresh tires here, and we'll keep an eye on his times as he progresses here. But yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on his lap times, because this could be a very tactical and very impactful undercut here for Benetton and Piquet. As Prost now gets a pit call, so does Roberto Moreno. But Piquet, I wouldn't be surprised here if he manages to perhaps get into the lead from this call from Benetton here. He has a good shot at making up those couple of seconds in the next 2 or 3 laps. So we'll keep an eye on that, as Prost obviously still stuck behind Senna in that little train, and Prost now coming in. So as for a comparison, Piquet now coming through the swimming pool chicane, we'll head down into Rascasse, and we'll keep an eye on Prost as he now comes out. Here is Piquet. Will he be able to clear Alain Prost? Let's see. Prost comes out, and yeah, there's Piquet. So Piquet already undercut Alain Prost. And at this rate, I'm sure Nelson Piquet will be making up the positions in front, as well as of Ayrton Senna, Emerson Fittipaldi, and John Nielsen. He has a good shot of taking the lead of the race here. And once he gets into the lead, all he has to do is put up a minimal defense, and that could see him win the race. It's obviously a very, very long race still, but he has every chance of getting to the end from here in the lead. And JJ Letta comes in, Jeff Lees gets his pit call, and so does Theo Fabi after he has, well, he's reporting some issues with his braking. So maybe a sticky brake pedal, or maybe one of the brake pads not functioning well anymore, maybe worn out. Fabi gets a good pit stop there, 5.7 seconds. And again, I just want to kind of keep an eye on Piquet here and see what kind of lap times he's doing opposed to the leaders. But he's gaining heaps of time, as he's already gained over a second this lap around. And as he comes across the line, let's see it. 23.0. Fastest lap for Piquet on lap 34, and he is a full 1.8 seconds faster than John Nielsen in the lead. Like I said, Piquet is looking very good to take the lead here. He will obviously at the end be on older tires, but yeah, I don't think he's worried about that. And Benetton might pull off a strategic masterclass here if they do manage to get Piquet in the lead of the race. Meanwhile, Fittipaldi has now lost some time to John Nielsen. Moreno is still behind Nakajima in front of him. And Moreno is pretty close, so he just needs a good exit somewhere to try and get a move done. But Fittipaldi now seemingly has lost a bit of time to Nielsen in front of him. Again, Nelson Piquet just gaining time hand over fist. And Hakkinen is looking at Pierluigi Martini in front still. He still has the leaders behind him, I'm pretty sure. As you can see it here now, Ayrton Senna. Oh, it's actually Ayrton Senna that got caught off a bit. He got separated by the back markers, so Senna losing a lot of time here. And more pit calls coming in now. But the top three yet to come into the pits, and it might be a bit of a late decision here for the top three, as they'll definitely lose track position to PK. Now PK has already made up close to 4 seconds, I believe, 4 to 5 seconds now on those fresh tires. And now there is a pit call for Emerson Fittipaldi, so Ferrari electing to pit a bit sooner here than the Zach Speed in front of him. So maybe this is where Zach Speed starts to falter a little bit. They're obviously looking very strong, but maybe not the experience yet to make a strategic impact. And it will be a good measurement here if we stay on board here with Fittipaldi, or if we keep tracking him and see how he compares to Nelson Piquet in terms of track position and time difference. But you can see, I think Piquet is within 10 seconds now of Fittipaldi, so there's no way Fittipaldi comes out in front here. But I think Fittipaldi will be able to keep a net second position. That should be very possible for him. As he comes in now, let's see. Again, we follow him in very early the box here for Fittipaldi. He's all the way at the front of the pit lane. And 5.5 seconds, which is actually a very good stop. And we have Piquet here. There we go, and Fittipaldi only now coming out, so there will be about a 10-second difference between them, I believe. And Prost now has made his pit stop also, and he has come out behind Nelson Piquet, so both Fittipaldi and Prost behind the Benetton, and the Benetton now looking to get past one of the Ligiers, and they do so. Oh, it's getting very close here, and actually Prost getting held up a bit by the Ligier. But Piquet doing a good job trying to work his way through the traffic here. And ideally he will get past. And he does so, does get past Pierluigi Martini. If Prost doesn't get through, so there's a bit of time gain there for Piquet probably. But John Nielsen will now be coming into the pits, and let's see if Piquet has done the job and made this undercut work. As Nielsen now coming up onto the jacks, and surely Piquet will come out ahead of him. He's rolling now, John Nielsen, but he won't be, yeah, he won't be out of the pits there. And even Alain Prost now, the McLaren getting past the Zach Speed. So yeah, a bit of a strategic error there by Zach Speed, and Piquet in the lead now of this race, in a net lead, I should say. Obviously Senna still leading here, but you can just see the pace difference between the Benetton and the Lotus at this point. Those old tires for Senna not working, and he's losing lots of time here. So Piquet now getting up to the back of that Lotus, and he will be trying to not lose too much time. Senna will surely come into the pits this lap as they head through the Nouvelle Chicane. And then down through Tabac. And then through the swimming pool section, you can just see how much more speed PK is carrying at this point on his relatively fresh tires. And Senna will surely pull off to the side here. Yes, he does, and this means PK is released into clean air. And he has taken the lead of the race. Nelson Piquet for Benetton. And Alain Prost obviously making his way up into second now. So McLaren looking at a podium here if they can keep this up. And John Nielsen, the biggest loser here from that whole pit stop sequence. He went from first to third. Also, I think Emerson Fittipaldi lost out quite a bit because he was running in second, so he unfortunately also has lost valuable track position. Only 4 retirements so far in the race, which is good to see. Honestly, a track like Monaco won't be as demanding as some other tracks when it comes to, well, engines and gearboxes and that kind of thing. But, yeah, it's still good to see in a season like last season where we could obviously see that the cars are, well, they're very fast and they're made for racing, but they're pushed to the limit, and that limit is easily crossed if the teams get a little bit wrong, or even if the car isn't managed properly by the driver. The reliability of these cars really goes down. And Lammers now making his second pit stop after his initial issue, and I think he comes out behind Roberto Moreno. So Lammers, working his way back into the points, is now in 8th. And Alain Prost still looking to challenge Nelson Piquet, and I think he's slowly closing up here. So a little glimpse of greatness here coming back for Alain Prost in what has been a discouraging start of the season. But the Drivers' World Champion clearly pushing to get the most out of this McLaren. And meanwhile, what a story it would be if Nelson Piquet manages to grab a win here at Monaco. It's a trophy that many F1 drivers desire because of the challenging nature of the track. Everything is so narrow, so close, and it really puts your driver skill to the test. And so, yeah, PK would be very delighted getting another victory here. And, well, obviously, 10 points for Benetton could mean the world. Could shoot him right up the constructor's standings, and likewise, I think PK would shoot up into the top 5 possibly in the Drivers' Championship. So yeah, one good result here for Benetton, and they could really shoot up the standings. As Mika Hakkinen now gets his call there, obviously made that early pit stop and now has to come in a second time for some fresh tires. Let's just make sure it's not for any sort of damage. I can find him here. Doesn't look like it. Seems like that Ligier is fine, so we'll lift him up onto the jacks. It does mean that Hakkinen will possibly drop back to last position for now. Now, Mike Landretti, I think, also one of the cars that made an early pit stop for an issue, will now come in for his second pit stop. In the meanwhile, we have John Nielsen, who is hunting down Alain Prost in front of him. So both Fittipaldi and John Nielsen are both very fast now. And they're looking at hunting down both Alain Prost and Nelson Piquet in front of them. But like we said before, you only require a little bit of a defensive move here on this track, and in general, drivers will be a bit more tentative trying a move or a big send up the inside of one of the cars, because obviously one misjudgment and your race is over here at Monaco. As Andretti comes into the pits, he will be very close, Andretti, to on the cusp of points there. He will have fresh tires, so maybe he can put up a good fight there for those points paying positions as he comes out of the pits. And I think, yeah, he does come out just behind Jan Lammers. Oh, even Alonso Jr., his teammate. Both of the Tyrrells on the edge of points, Alonso Jr. actually being inside of it. And hopefully they can work together to pick up these points. But you can see now a little bit of a train forming in the top four here. And Prost being the first obstacle for John Nielsen. As Nelson Piquet will start lap 45 of 78. Still quite a ways to go for the Brazilian, but he's looking solid so far. And what an upset it would be if Benetton manages to take a win here. And I will go take a quick 5-minute break here and from commentary and go do something. I will leave you on the automatic cameras, so there should be some action here or there, and I will be right back in a moment. And as I come back now, we see Roberto Moreno actually moving up into 6th. He was just passing one of the back markers, I think, in Pierluigi Martini. I also see in the meanwhile, Al Unser Jr. is out of the race for Tyrrell with a transmission failure. And PK still doing a good job leading, and then Jan Lammers on the outside of Pierluigi Martini, I think. Or was that Ross Cheever? No, that was definitely Martini, as Theo Fabi in 14th. And actually JJ Leto now, with some of these retirements, is in 13th place, so not too shabby for the debutants. And Theo Fabi in the BMW isn't quite able to match his teammate Bobby Rahal on pace, who's dropped out of the race. So looks likely that BMW isn't gonna be able to get any points here today. And John Nielsen still looking at the back of that McLaren, as Michael Andretti now in the Tyrrell was sending it up the inside of one of the cars there. Let's see, he was also getting past Pierluigi Martini. So Michael Andretti still running in the points for Tyrrell. But yeah, John Nielsen not really making too much headway to Alain Prost, and likewise Prost not really catching up to PK. So PK actually doing a good job here managing the race, and he has about 29 laps to go here. Dalmas now up into 15th for McLaren. And MO now is within 8 or so tenths behind John Nielsen, but they've been matching their pace over these last 50 laps. So matching each other's pace, so I assume none of them will cede their positions or gain any positions, as long as they don't make any mistakes. We're on board with Fittipaldi through the tunnel and down into the Nouvelle Chicane for the 50th time. And as you can see here, Prost running very well, is looking to pick up some big points for McLaren now, as PK gets past the back marker of Theo Fabi, which actually allowed Prost to, well, get close to him. But let's see, does Prost get past here? No, it doesn't seem so. So Prost will be stuck behind the BMW, and that's probably gonna lose him a lot of time here compared to PK. Yeah, as you can see now, Prost right onto the back of BMW. He does get past now, as Bobby tries to make some room. And then same story for Nielsen and Fittipaldi behind. They will have to try and find their way through, and we'll stay on board here with Nielsen, see how he navigates that. So down into the tunnel once again. Let's see, does he manage to get past here? No. Oh yeah, big send there from Nielsen. He's not wasting any time getting past, and that was actually, well, very well executed. And now we have Fittipaldi, the next one up to get past that BMW of Fabi. Fittipaldi edging closer. Not close enough yet to make a move, I don't think. That's the old veteran in Fittipaldi, still showing he is able to drive an F1 car at a very, very decent speed. And I think we've talked about this before, but there was rumors of his retirement this season, at least from F1. It looked like he might be done with F1 as a whole. And now we see here Pierluigi Martini again in a dangerous spot, gets a puncture. So to add insult to injury, the Minardi of Martini picks up a puncture, maybe from one of those other crashes earlier in the race. There might have been some debris on the track and might have run over it, but yeah, a bad race turns to a worse race for Pierluigi Martini, and he will be our sixth retirement, sorry, of the race. Meanwhile, just taking a look here, yeah, John Nielsen, he is, they've both gotten past now the back markers, Fittipaldi and Nielsen, and they are now looking to close up to the back of Prost. And Prost is closing up to PK in front, as we are on board with Prost here. He navigates his way through the casino corner and then down into Mirabeau. And I don't think the question will be if he can get close to PK, because I think he can, but overtaking him will be a whole nother task. Now Michael Andretti fighting for those points and actually very close to Jan Lammers and Roberto Moreno in front of him, so he just needs for one of these drivers in front of him to, well, ideally make a little bit of a mistake so he can slip through and pick up a couple extra points perhaps. Michael Andretti, even with those issues, managing his race very well. Let's not forget he's on an extra pit stop, so shown very good pace here today, Michael Andretti. And before his retirement, Alonso Jr. was also showing that the Tyrrell is definitely a competitive package. They're definitely up in that top midfield battle, I'd say. They really haven't had the results go their way too much with 2 DNFs so far for 2 DNFs so far for Alonso Jr. and obviously Alonso Jr. will add a 3rd DNF to that here today, but maybe Michael Andretti will be able to pick up some points, which I think Domi will gladly receive. Nelson Piquet now getting up to the back of his teammate in JJ Leto, and surely Leto will be trying to not give his veteran teammate in Piquet a hard time here, because as a rookie that is getting lapped, you definitely don't want to get in the way of your teammate. So let's just see. I think Piquet should be able to get past here on the start-finish straight. Perhaps not. Has the rookie seen him in the rearview mirror? Doesn't look like it. So maybe they're just trying to line up the pass here. And it will be likely that it's down into Mirabeau here on this part of the track. And yes, Piquet does move to the inside and now gets let through by his teammate. And now the question is, of course, oh, and there's another big mistake here. Oh, Theo Fabi has made a mistake down into the casino square, and he has taken a wheel off on the right side there. So that's a dramatic end to Theo Fabi's race there, as his car will be lifted off, and let's hope he's all right, the Italian driver. Mika Hakkinen now in last place in 15th, and the 7th retirement in form of Theo Fabi for BMW. So unfortunately a double retirement here for BMW, even though well, it was quite clear that that they were running fairly well and Bobby Rahal was well inside the points, but yeah, haven't quite managed to get to the end of the race. And now Prost has gotten past JJ Leto, and well, maybe this is also a way to make an impression as a rookie. You don't quite have the pace, but you can help out your teammates, so seems very much what like what JJ Leto is doing, and maybe Rackster will be very pleased with that result. Even though his rookie not scoring any points, he is helping out his front runner significantly. And Riccardo Patrese now on the edge of the top 10 with Satoru Nakajima for now denying him that top 10 in front of him. See, now John Nielsen has gotten past that second Benetton, but now again has quite a bit of time to make up, and Fittipaldi now in 4th, getting past the Benetton. Ross Cheever doing very well in 9th in the Minardi, but he's just managing his race. He does have Nakajima and Patrese behind, so he does have to keep on top of his game. He can't take it easy until the end. But yeah, sure, Cheever will try his hardest, and now PK still leading the race and has somewhat of a significant gap now to Prost behind him, 2.8 seconds or thereabouts. And Prost taking about a 10th out of him there, but nothing too serious, nothing to be worried about for PK. And the Brazilian definitely managing his race very well so far. John Nielsen now, he must be frustrated inside that Zach speed, knowing that he gave up that lead by pitting a bit too late into the race. So 20 laps to go now. Nelson Piquet leads the race from Alain Prost. In 3rd will be John Nielsen. Then comes Emerson Fittipaldi. In the top 5 still will be Ayrton Senna. He's also looking to complete a race and get some points on the board for Lotus, because they've had 2 double DNFs for the first 2 races, but both of them still running. So 5th and 6th for Lotus, which would be a very decent point haul here. And then comes Jan Lammers in 7th. He's also been working on that recovery race. He's right behind Moreno, but hasn't found a way through. And now in 8th will be Michael Andretti or Tyrrell. So Tyrrell looking to pick up a single point. Then comes Ross Cheever just outside of the points with Satoru Nakajima in 10th. Riccardo Patrese for Ligier in 11th. Then comes Jeff Lees, the second Williams, after unfortunately Brundle dropped out. Then comes JJ Leto in the second Benetton. Then Dalmas for the McLaren team. And then comes the second Ligier of Mika Hakkinen. Obviously a retirement so far. Theo Fabi for BMW, then Pierluigi Martini for Minardi. Alonso Jr. for Tyrrell also retiring from the race with a transmission failure. And then likewise Bobby Rahal for BMW also out with a transmission failure. Then Eddie Lawson, the motorcyclist turned car racer, was also out with a crash in the last corner. And then Martin Brundle for Williams with an electrical issue, having to pull over the car. And unfortunately, Mauricio Gugelmin out of the race very early, also with some sort of electrical failure. In the meanwhile, though, Nilsson PK is in the lead of this race with under 20 laps to go. So let's hope for him he can keep it together here for Benetton and pick up a win here. And he would have really defied all the odds. It would definitely be an underdog win here today for PK if he manages to pull it off. He starts lap 60, and Prost nearly 3 seconds behind him now, but PK looking focused and just turning his laps around very consistently. In the meanwhile, John Nielsen still looking to get closer to that McLaren in front of him. And also has Emerson Fittipaldi not too far behind him. Mika Hakkinen still trying to get past Yannick Dalmas in front of him. Now Jeff Lees coming through the Raskas section of corners down to the start-finish straight in 12th place, just managing his race. He's not really in contention for any positions around him, so he does have Patrese and the Ligier about 4 seconds up the road, but I'm sure he's now just looking at finishing the race and maybe pick up a couple positions if he can due to retirements. Now John Nielsen still just in that 4th position, seemingly not getting much closer to Prost in front, which actually surprises me. So Zach speed, not as much speed as they had in the first 2 races. He seems to be closer here today, and PK. Yeah, PK actually very impressively slightly extending that gap to Prost behind him. He's gaining a few hundredths here and there, and it's amounting to a couple of tenths here and there over the course of a couple laps. And he now heads down the start-finish straight once again. Meanwhile, Prost also seemingly just managing his race. He has, of course, John Nielsen not too far behind, but he seems to be pretty comfortable hanging on to that lead. And oh, JJ Leto! JJ Leto with a big mistake there as he skirts along the wall, and he's lucky to not pick up any significant damage there. Because that was, well, that could have been catastrophic there for Leto, but he does manage to keep it on the track and seemingly undamaged. We still have, I believe, a bit of a look back. We should see Roberto Moreno, Jan Lammers, and Michael Andretti. They're still in this three-way battle from 6th to 8th place. They seemingly are all very close on pace as well. I think Lammers actually quite a bit faster, but like we talked about before, it's almost impossible to find a way through here in Monaco. And Moreno is managing that perfectly so far, as you can see Lammers just right onto the gearbox, but yeah, there's no way for him to get past here anywhere. And the Tyrrell of Michael Andretti just following these two along. He might be hoping for one of them to make a mistake and be able to capitalize. See now under pressure Roberto Moreno. I don't think Lammers has enough extra speed here that he can try and move on Moreno. If he does, it'd be very risky, and he has the chance of actually ending up with no points as opposed to the 2 he's getting now. And they will be very important, of course, for the Constructors' Championship and the Drivers' Championship in the end, obviously. Oh, that was nearly a send there, I think, by Lammers. It seemed like he backed out at the last second, but Moreno now under immense pressure. And Moreno now on the start finish. Let's see, no. Lammers still not close enough, but good run out of turn 1. You can see how close Lammers is. Maybe here down to Mirabeau. Can Lammers try anything? No, doesn't seem like it. Moreno, that being said, Moreno doing a very good job holding off the 2 cars behind him. And he's looking to get that Lotus until the end. He looks determined. So far, doing a great job. Tom Nielsen, meanwhile, still looking at the back of that McLaren in front of him. And yeah, Alain Prost just marginally losing time to Nelson Piquet in front, and Piquet looking to close out this race with about 13 laps to go. Piquet just going through the swimming pool section once again. And down to Raskas. In good performance here. Looking steady, looking consistent. There comes Prost and Nielsen around the corner. And then we still have Fittipaldi in 4th there. He's just looking to hound John Nielsen into maybe making a mistake. And Lammers now once again very close to that Lotus in front of him. But it doesn't seem like he's able to create some sort of exit anywhere that allows him to make a move into the next corner. See here on the start finish straight, maybe he can get a good run out of there. Still no way through for Lammers, and Moreno holding on. John Nielsen managing his pace with Prost in front of him in the McLaren. Nelson Piquet still out in front, about to start the last 10 laps of the race. About 15 minutes of racing still to go, and Piquet has the best opportunity he might get throughout the season to score big. And let's hope he makes the most of it, and navigating his way through Massenet and then the Casino Square. And behind him are Prost and Nielsen, still, well, not quite fighting each other, but putting the pressure on each other, with Fittipaldi in that mix as well. Oh, and Senna actually, similar mistake to what we saw Roberto Moreno doing, so maybe bit of a trade of the car, maybe getting unsettled there in that fast speed Massenet corner, but also skirted the wall there. But it does seem like Senna's car is fine. Meanwhile, Ross Cheever just managing his race, and now we have a failure for Jeff Leasier as we're on board with him. The Marshall's trying to clear up that car, but another Williams will be out of the race, so reliability definitely still a big issue here for Williams, as both of their cars retire now. Allow JJ Leto up into P12. And John Nielsen, yeah, he's right about on that 1 second cusp of Alain Prost in front, and so is Emerson Fittipaldi to John Nielsen, but none of them really having that little bit of extra pace to try and move anywhere, or set up a move even. All just in this 1 second gap region and not really managing to create anything out of that. Meanwhile, PK still steadily increasing that gap to Prost, which is now at about 3.5 seconds. And PK might be on his way here. One of the biggest upsets of the season, possibly. We'll have to see. It's very early on, of course, but it would be a bit of a miracle here if PK manages to pick up a victory. And those 3 cars behind him will be eager to take that win off of him. So far, Benetton managing this race perfectly. The big thing, of course, about Benetton possibly getting the win here is that it could see them shoot up in the constructor standings. Benetton only 1 point so far in the first 2 races, and well, getting an extra 10 points. That would possibly, at this point, put them up into 4th position in the constructors, and it would also, I think, put PK in the top 5 possibly. So of the drivers' championship. So that'd be a big win overall for Benetton. Prost still just managing the pace. It seems like he doesn't have quite enough to close up to PK. PK just a little too fast here today. But Prost trying his darnest to get close. Oh, and now a big issue in the last 7 laps of the race here. Fittipaldi struggling with an issue, and he will be out of that podium position fight as he has to come in to the pit stop. But let's follow him in, and he is gonna come out behind Ayrton Senna possibly, so he'll still be in the top 5, but yeah, not what Fittipaldi would have hoped for. And yeah, Moreno will be too far back in that second Lotus. But yeah, Fittipaldi now a good 10 or so seconds, I'm guessing, behind Senna in front of him. And he does have a fresh set of tires now, but I'm not sure it'll be enough to close up to Senna this late into the race. I don't know if the difference will be quite big enough, but we'll keep an eye on this. We'll stay on board with him for now. And now let's get a reference here of Senna. Senna now heading into the tunnel. And Fittipaldi is now coming up to it as well, so yeah. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. And in the meanwhile, John Nielsen still running in 3rd. Ayrton Senna now promoted up into 4th, which would be also great for Lotus. Meanwhile, Nelson Piquet now once again getting up to the back of a couple of back markers here. I think it is Riccardo Patrese, Nakajima, and Ross Cheever that are in a little bit of a train. And he now has to find a way past them. Ideally, he will do it rather quickly because he is losing lots and lots of time. All that time he worked to get over Prost is now quickly being shrunk down to near nothing, as he's already lost about a second in the last lap. As you can see now, PK needs to get a move on here and try and get past these back markers. Because else the race is going to be much closer than it needs to be for PK. Now you can see Alain Prost getting closer and closer to the back of PK, so I hope PK's team is urging him to get past those back markers, because it will be quite something if Prost manages to overtake him here because of the back markers. That would be quite something. Only 4 laps to go. You also now see Emerson Fittipaldi as he's closing up to the back of Senna. We'll keep an eye on that, but I do want to also... Oh, and Prost here! Prost with a transmission failure in the last 4 laps. So that's also a catastrophic failure for Prost, and it's very unfortunate for McLaren as they were looking to pick up big points, which moves Ayrton Senna into that podium position now, as he will try to hold off Emerson Fittipaldi. Let's see here, because Fittipaldi does have a lot of pace here on those new tires. And PK now still behind those back markers. John Nielsen trying to close up. Let's keep an eye here on Fittipaldi and Ayrton Senna, as Fittipaldi closing up to the back of that Lotus. Just looking to get past, but Senna for now doing a good job holding him behind. There won't be many opportunities for Fittipaldi to score, or like to score an overtake, I should say, not score really, but do an overtake. See here as they head through the tunnel, Senna with a good exit. Here comes Fittipaldi in the slipstream. Does he try something? Ooh, Senna goes slightly defensive. He's feeling the pressure. You can see now how much more speed Fittipaldi is carrying through that fast swimming pool section, and they head now into Raskas. And we see a move maybe here down the start-finish straight. Senna again with a decent exit, and I don't think Fittipaldi will be able to get close enough to try anything. There we go, we're getting more pit calls, which I think again the fuel bug is coming into effect, which I will try to fix for the next race. I'll have to do some experimenting, but it's very strange that it started happening after the first race pretty much. So we'll see what happens here, but should these 2 cars pit on this lap, then we'll call it a lap early. And we might miss out on a little bit of a battle here between Dom Nielsen and Nelson PK, but I'm afraid I won't let the fuel bug interfere with our race, because I doubt actually that Nielsen will be able to get past PK, so it's not like the result will change. But yes, we are getting loads of pit calls here at the end, so I really have to look at the fuel consumption for some of these cars, or maybe even remove the fuel mod. But anyway, the results will be taken from the end of lap 76. So that being said, we'll we'll just end the race here.